Welcome to the What's Our Verdict podcast, where we fashion ourselves television judge and jury. My name is JJ Crowder. I'm here with my co-hosts Mattson Heiner.
Yeah, better red than dead.
And Alec Burgess.
Yeah, let's get it.
Well, now I feel left out. So I don't know that I can do that sound without sounding really dumb. So I'll just go ahead and move on. We appreciate you tuning in. Go ahead and hit that like, follow, subscribe button, the bell notification, all those buttons that help you keep track of what we're doing and what our episodes are coming up. So those of you watching live, we appreciate it. Yeah, we're moving on, talking about the House of the Dragon, episode 4. I can't believe we're already 4 episodes into this show.
How many do we have?
There's 10, I believe. 9 or 10.
There better be 10.
Sweet.
Most of the time, HBO does 10 episodes. I can't imagine there'll be less than 10 with this one. There's a lot going on. And we really started moving in this.
We hit the Game of Thrones stride.
Yeah, we were full on Game of Thrones here, and it was bound to happen. Now, I will say that they started this, they gave the hints of this little coupling a little early, even though the coupling was never actually, I'm just using Otto Hightower's words, dude, it was never actually fully realized. We were close. But that one doesn't happen for a while. So I don't think we'll see a full-on... So
you're saying it's going to happen?
Yeah, I will confirm. If they follow the books, they get it on.
I will say, watching this episode, I understand what Matt Smith was saying about how it kind of pushed his limits a little bit, or was a little bit more than what he's used to.
Yeah, Game of Thrones gets weird.
Yeah, it does.
His limits of just walking around in that scene where people are just touching each other sexually, where they had to film weird. Amongst that. Yeah. Well, it's funny to hear Rhaenyra's character talk about that. Yeah, like having sex with your niece, and you're like, okay.
And granted, I love that the only problem that anyone had in this situation was that she was a woman, and she'll ruin her freaking price for getting married because she will no longer be a maiden. It's not that she was about to bone her uncle in a whorehouse surrounded by a whole lot of other people boning and many other things. Nah, it's because she's not worth a big price in the marriage market as a woman.
What I want to know is, like, with all this Game of Thrones and a lot of these other shows like Tudors and things, like, were the whorehouses that whore, like, that big and like that just orgy all the time? Like, is that historically accurate? Because that shit is crazy if it is. Like, jeez.
Yeah, dude. That shit's no joke, man.
You've confirmed that, JJ? You've done your historical
analysis?
Like,
I hopped in the DeLorean and 88 miles an hour it and had a good old time back. Hell no. Those people weren't vaccinated. They didn't. You come back with all sorts of weird shit.
Why do you think syphilis was such a problem back then?
I know, but I'm saying, like, the way that Hollywood... I feel like I don't know if it was like that, but like, I don't know.
Well, they probably dramatized it a little bit.
No, here's the only thing that I don't think is real is that all those people are beautiful.
Yeah.
I think most of the people that are going to be in real whorehouses back then are not that good looking. Like, they probably look like me and worse.
They'd be dirty as fuck. Like,
yeah.
All right. Interesting. Okay. Well,
my favorite part of that whole kind of sequence, though, was Viserys when he found out. He's like, so she went to a whorehouse.
And
what do you want to do?
Yeah. Well, and that's the funniest part, like, is even if she had, like, I really think that if she had lost, well, she did, but if he had found out that she had lost her maidenhead, I think the only part that bothered Viserys was the fact that it was Daemon. And he just got done praising Daemon and, reconciling with him over this battle on the Stepstones. And now he's quote unquote defiled his daughter. You know what I mean? Like it's such a, and I think that's what I love about this show the most. And the original Game of Thrones is when you get these wild contradictions in character and importance and what matters. And then it's like, this is weird. Like, there's just, because the things that shouldn't matter do, and the things that do don't. And you're like, what the fuck is happening? Excuse my French, but it blows my mind. But I think it's also human nature. You know what I mean? I think it's real. So
accurate.
Yeah. Like, I think you're not far off from this kind of, at least based on historical records, right? Like you, because again, this is all based in some version of the War of the Roses, in which there was a lot of incestual relationships to keep the bloodlines pure, especially on the Tudor side. Well, I mean, even on the other side, I can't remember the name now.
They're not important.
Yeah, but I mean, and there were kings that were placed in towers so that they could be replaced by younger. It's just like the stuff that happened in the Dark Ages and the 1400s, 1200s, 1300s. It was nuts. The dumb shit that they used to do to each other for the title of a king or a lord, or it was crazy.
It's wonderful, is what it is.
Well, I mean, it makes great television.
I was kind of confused that she didn't know about the secret passageway out of her room.
Right?
Or that Damon knew about the secret passageway out of her room.
Yeah.
Like, was that his room before? Or is he just wandering around the secret passageways?
I was going to say, I think that's the kind of guy that knows a lot about the dark sides of the stuff. Yeah, I mean, that guy, Damon strikes me as the type that, well, we already know he hangs out at the whorehouses a lot, so you got to do that on the low. But
why was Lady Alicent, the queen, why do we think she was so upset with Rhaenyra when she heard those allegations? Because they also focus on her showing up to the king's bed very late at night and clearly not enjoying it. And she made the comment to Rhaenyra about the courtship and how that sounded nice. To me, it seemed like she kind of wanted. She obviously doesn't. She's not in love with the king. I mean, I think it's pretty clear, and wanted an opportunity to like select her suitor. Isn't enjoying sex, but is also appalled at her friend being in a whorehouse, and is trying to figure out why she was so like vehemently upset about that, because I think it had to do more with her than it had to do with Rhaenyra.
Oh, absolutely. Alicent is straight up jealous.
Yep, I was about to say that shit was pure jealousy. Because here's poor Alicent, who's done her duty. Her dad said, "You're gonna marry the king, so go make friends, go make him fall in love with you, be there for him. You're the rebound," which is a terrible way to describe that.
Your daughter.
But that's what it is. You know what? He's grieving for the loss of the love of his life, whom he chose, and he knows he's going to have to marry for duty, which he's not going to want to do. But I'm going to send you in, this young, beautiful woman. Go seduce him, get him to fall in love with you. That too. And so she's done her duty, and she didn't go sow her oats or do anything like that. So now she's watching her friend, who she just reconciled with, go and do whatever the hell she wants, even though she is the heir to the throne at this time versus her son too. So it's just raw jealousy. Straight up.
I think it's brilliant on the showrunner's part and how they depicted it. I don't know if that part's in the book, JJ. Is it? No?
Not in that kind of detail. So like there's a falling out, but they don't really talk about the falling out being any more than Rhaenyra's pissed that her best friend got with her dad, right? Like that shit's weird, even though it's not really weird, but she got pissed about that. And then the whole fact that there's so much drama that comes out of it. But in the book, it doesn't talk about this jealousy of doing her duty and this, that, and the other. So that's a really cool add to what's going on.
I thought it was brilliant. And I think it, like a lot of times in shows like this, coupling, as JJ said, bumping uglies, doing the devil's tango, whatever you want to say, 10 toes to Jesus.
That's right.
Is, depicted as being just duty bound for the female characters, right? Like it's just, you're there to have a child. And then the showrunners kind of awakened this, animal, I guess, in Rhaenyra. to where now she's like, whoa, you mean I can just do this for fun? And so she's now just going to have her, have a blast doing her Kingsguard.
Yeah, that guy's in trouble because once that gets out, he's dead.
Oh, he's dead, yeah. I know he's not dead, JJ.
He's not dead? Wow, lucky him.
No, he becomes a problem.
Oh, I bet.
But not in the way that you would think. Like, it's not like he's running around going, "Oh, I boned Rhaenyra," and she, you know what I mean? But it's like you can tell that there's feelings there on his end. Like, she was like, "I just almost had sex with my uncle. I'm really hot and bothered. You're here. Come on in."
Mm-hmm. You're the closest one to me.
I have a need, and you can satisfy it. So, but there is like that continues. And then she does get married to her cousin. And but what they haven't touched on yet is her cousin doesn't like women. So
wait, which not Daemon?
No, Corlys. The Corlys Valerian's son. Yeah, the dragon rider that you saw helping Daemon, the young kid with the dreads like his dad.
Oh, yeah.
In the book, she marries this dude, not a fan of the ladies. And so she has kids. They might not be his.
Nice.
And then there's this whole, but yes, that guy, he becomes a problem for Rhaenyra later on, but not what you got. I'll leave that at that because it should be interesting to see how that plays out. But that coupling. Funny. It's not good.
It's funny. She said she did the Kingsguard because she was in the mood. Like if he's sworn his life is celibacy, it's not like he's out here doing the dirty. He probably is like a 2-pump chump.
Apparently not, according to what we witnessed.
Yeah.
Well, they're not. Yeah, they're Hollywood's not going to depict it like that. But yeah, he's probably in there for like 10 seconds, and he's like the oven's done.
But he was also a knight before he was a Kingsguard. So he had however many years up to the point that she chose him as a Kingsguard to get it on. He probably got taken to a whorehouse by a cousin or an uncle at some point. So
yeah, and then he probably doesn't even have a dick. It's probably just like disease-ridden and dead.
Not if you go to the high-class joints, Mattson. Come on now.
I read that I've read in books where they thought like putting like dung or like manure on their stuff is gonna help out. Then you're just like, that's just gonna make it worse. Like you're gonna get infection, bro.
That and leeches. They used to leech your junk.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that's fun. Anyways,
yeah.
When I was watching this with Oshi, it was funny because she's like, he's got curly hair like Jon Snow. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's not Jon Snow's great grandpa.
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so, but I was like, he looks like Jon Snow. So good luck.
I gotta remember her. Ooh, that's a good. I'm gonna come next week with.
I thought it was the Ned Stark hair. He had the Stark hair.
He had what's her face's hair for sure. Lyanna Stark's. But I'm curious now. I don't remember where Rhaegar. What bloodline? Whether it was the Greens or the Blacks.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't remember.
You've got some research to do.
Yeah, I do. I'm gonna be looking up that bloodline.
First of all, or second of all, maybe third of all, dude, did Daemon actually get crowned King of the Narrow Sea and then just decide he didn't want it?
Yeah, he stayed. Or
was that story?
Oh, he did. And in the book, he actually keeps that title for like 5 or 6 years or something like that. But it was always like they mocked him in King's Landing more than they, you know what I mean, and under their breath and things like that. Because he stays out in the step zones. He doesn't come back like that. Like he goes out to the step zones. But she's getting married. She's agreed to get married to Valerian, so he's got to be getting ready to go back to the Vale soon.
You think, anyway.
Well, no, he does.
He likes King's Landing.
No, he likes King's Landing a lot. Yeah. Should be
so the other thing, JJ.
Yeah.
Viserys, rot that he's got going on. Is that grayscale or something else?
No. So what they're trying to play at is he was kind of a sickly dude. Like, let me rephrase that. He wasn't sickly. He was unhealthy. So because he was a summer king, he didn't have a lot to worry about. He had dragons. They had family everywhere. His stance was pretty strong outside of his own inner circle. So he didn't have a lot to worry about. But there was a myth, I guess, for lack of a better term, that the Iron Throne did as much damage as those that sat it did to others, because it's swords, right? So people were constantly getting poked, and if you cut yourself on the Iron Throne, it was rumored you were going to be a bad king or bad ruler. So what they're doing is, near the end of his life, Viserys got big, fat, bad heart problems, and he dies in a very unpleasant way because he's just unhealthy. He like eats and drinks himself to death. So we're starting to see a little bit about that, but you can't make this actor transform that way, make him big, fat, giant. So what they're doing is they're transitioning it to, he sits on the Iron Throne and he gets a cut and it gets infected and they can't get rid of the infection. So he loses his fingers.
That. Yeah. Otherwise it's too hard to realistically do it, right?
Yeah. It just doesn't work out very well. So anyway.
All right, cool. And then last thing, Otto Hightower.
Oh yes.
Got what was coming to him after Hightower. How many years did it take? Because he played the con game for what, like 20, 30 years or something like that?
Yeah.
Because the King Viserys talked about he wasn't the hand before it was his father's, or what he was explaining to him, where that guy died and then he positioned himself just a couple of days later and became the hand of the king, and he'd been doing it for that long and was kind of serving his needs to an extent.
Did Otto Hightower kill the previous hand?
Well, yeah, that's kind of what it felt like King Viserys was saying.
Is that what happened, JJ?
There's rumors that so Jaehaerys, the king that they're talking about, Jaehaerys the hand, it wasn't, nobody knows for sure. And it was weird. That's why he talks about these 5 days. He's perfectly healthy and then he's not. And that's kind of how, like, there's a lot of rumors. And in the book, they mention that nobody knows exactly what happened. Some think that it was Viserys himself, because he knew that they'd never put Rhaenys on the throne. So it gives him the chance to become the next heir. So, I mean, yeah, there's some very interesting theories out there, but no one knows for sure. But that's certainly what Viserys was implying at that point was,
you killed him, and I know it.
You killed him. So,
but you got to think Otto Hightower, when they showed that scene where he was contemplating telling the news, and he had to think about the different scenarios and how things could have gone, and not saying anything. But then he's probably ultimately like, well, this could further ingrain getting my son, my grandson, to become the king. And so I guess he took that calculated risk, as I understand it. But this time it ultimately backfired. It became his undoing.
You play the Game of Thrones or you die.
So with someone like him, I'm assuming he's not done in our story, though. Now he's a disgruntled kind of reject, but also not at the same time, because his son could still become king, because the people clearly, as they showed with Rhaenyra walking around, very much are in support of this toddler being the king. And so I feel like he'll be back in full force at some point.
Yeah.
It looked like they sent him to the wall from the episode preview. He's up north, snow in his beard.
So I am interested with what they're going to do with him, because in the book, all it says is once he gets removed as the hand the first time, he goes to back to his home, Old Town, with his brother. He plots with his brother. So I don't know.
Does that
they have to keep him because they're paying too much for Reese fans to not have him in the show.
Does that have any effect on Alicent when he leaves in the book? Like, help her get out of his shadow type of a thing, or does she remain pretty dependent on him?
No, she kind of becomes her own. Okay. Yeah, she comes into her own because at some point we're going to have this other time jump, and then things get really weird because, like I said, you have Viserys who's getting unhealthier and unhealthier as you go. So now it's all about this talk of your heir, right? So, and he refuses to remove Rhaenyra as his heir, but you have Aegon, who is the most natural heir to the throne, her son. And so and then Rhaenyra starts having kids. And so it's just like, Jeebus, you have just all these heirs popping up. Well, Alicent, without her dad, has to become pretty involved in the process, and her kids become involved, and Rhaenyra's kids become involved. And all this time, there's just this constant back and forth. But there's a moment where they all come to dinner they come together for some, I don't even remember what the occasion is, if I'm being honest, but they all come and they sit down at this table, and Alicent is wearing a green dress, as she does quite often, and Rhaenyra is wearing a black outfit. And that's how the greens and the blacks, which the first Dance of Dragons, the first Civil War, that's the titles. They were the greens and the blacks. So that's how they get it, is based on basically the heads of these two sides, what they were wearing at the time. So, but yeah, he goes off, and in the book, at least, he goes off and plays in the background, and he's doing his thing in secret, and he's trying to help get allies for Alicent and her kids as they move forward. But yeah, when he comes back, he gets made hand again. I'm probably ruining some shit for later down the show, but he gets made hand again when the next hand, Lionel Strong, dies. He gets brought back because he's a comfortable choice that has experience. And then he's in a position when Viserys dies to create even more havoc with who's the king or queen.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of...
I love the intrigue in this show. It's awesome. Yeah. The dirty, underhanded knife in the dark.
Yeah, the political shit's pretty strong in this show. And this whole section of timeline with these families is probably the most politically insane. So
sweet.
Mm-hmm.
I love this show. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it.
And I know that we talked about Rings of Power in their CGI, but the practical effects in this show, so good.
Yeah.
Like just down to the armor that they're wearing. So detailed, so intricate, and it's always been that way. They've done a great job with their practical effects and their details that they put in.
Yeah, but they always end up screwing up their friggin' CGI with green fingers in the middle of a scene.
Yeah, I saw that.
All over the place.
Yeah, or coffee cup on a table at the end of Game of Thrones. So dumb. Yeah, nice. Starbucks made an appearance in Game of Thrones.
Oh, really? That's
pretty funny. They edited it out later, but
that's funny.
They didn't catch it for the release. It was funny.
Everybody's like, ripped online.
Why is there a Starbucks cup right there? It was stupid.
Was it that easy to see?
Yeah, I mean, they're sitting at this table at a banquet kind of party type thing, and there's like a bunch of people sitting at this table, and it's like right there. Like you can tell somebody was drinking some coffee between takes and left that shit sitting there, and nobody saw it. It was so obvious.
Oh, I'm looking at the scene right now. Yeah, you can totally see it.
Yeah. It's pretty funny.
That's pretty dang funny.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
And none of the actors or anyone noticed it. That's hilarious.
Yeah, there was another issue at some point during that show too, and I don't remember what it was. But then they had this one in like the second episode or the third episode, the last episode, where Viserys was supposed to be missing his fingers, and it showed he had the like green
Yeah, I saw that.
Condoms on
he
or
had
whatever.
His fingers over the chairs, and I was like, oh,
yeah,
it's like, that didn't work.
Whoopsie. Somebody forgot to edit those out. So, all right, well, House of the Dragon, it's heating up. And it is 10 episodes, by the way. So we've got 6 more. Yeah. So we got a lot of coverage left, a lot of live episodes, because I'm pretty sure Rings of Power is 10 episodes too. It's either 8 or 10. So we got a lot of coverage, a lot of live stuff. Speaking of all that, Mattson, tell everybody what else we're covering and where they can find us.
Yeah, if you're not already listening to us live on Mondays on YouTube at What's Our Verdict, you can check out the podcast at What's Our Verdict Reviews, or a good podcast can be found. I mean, we're doing a lot of She-Hulk, Rings of Power. We got Pinocchio dropping soon. We've got The Woman King. That looks pretty intriguing. We just dropped Paws of Fury, which was a fan request. And yeah, so a lot happened. We're going to be starting to outline what October looks like, which I think has some more movies that we may be looking at, like Amsterdam. And I'm trying to think if there was another movie that came out in October that we were excited about. I don't know. Movies in the movie theater, few and far between. I can't tell you. I think it's 4 times now I've been watching TV with someone different, where Avatar's previews come out, the old one, and they're like, wait, the new Avatar movie's coming out, it's in theaters. I'm like, nah, it's just the old one. They're just making money again. That's where we're at with movie theaters. But you can also check us out at TikTok at What's Our Verdict to interact with Alec, most especially, and see our co-hosts get made fun of, amongst other things. And then you can check us out at whatsourverdict.com to see what's upcoming. And also, if you want to send us a movie suggestion, please do. And then we are currently working on a Patreon, which I think will be released here pretty shortly. We're excited about that as well.
Absolutely. Thanks, Matt. Yeah, I think there are some movies in October, but I don't remember what they are. We'll see. We'll figure it out. And you guys will check out the website to figure those out too. But yeah, as always, we appreciate you tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.
Cinemagic out.
Whoa!